Go ahead. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And after the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd like to have a moment of silence for Congressman John Dingell and also Truax, who was one of our canine officers passed this last week. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Baun-Crooks?
Here.
Benedetti?
Present.
Howey?
Here.
LeFevre?
Here.
Perugi?
Here.
Rizeppa?
Here.
Stack?
Here.
Quorum present, Mayor Stack.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is for the approval of the minutes of February 4th regular meeting.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, it's unanimously so ordered. Next item on the agenda is for the Michigan Municipal League annual membership dues, April 1st, 2019 through March 31st, 2020. And I'll defer to our City Administrator, Scott Church, please.
Yes, Mayor, as you indicated, as you indicated, this is a request to renew the Michigan Municipal League's annual dues in the amount of $7,303. And that is an increase, very slight amount, I think it was approximately $100 over what the dues were last year.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, it's unanimously so ordered.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is from the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 426 and the VFW Post 1888 Annual Poppy Distribution. And Madam Clerk, would you please take that?
Sure. The American Legion Auxiliary Unit 426 and the VF Post 1888 is looking for permission to hold their annual poppy distribution. And they're looking to do this in the city of Trenton on May 9th, 10th, and 11th under the direction of the police department, and this is pending Civic Commission approval.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, it's unanimously so ordered. Next item on the agenda is from our city assessor. The next two items are Board of Review member change of status, Tom Dickman and Frederick Wager, and then also the Board of Review appointment, John L. Hodgson.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. What I have before you is Mr. Thomas Dickman has requested a change of status from a regular board member to an alternate, and Mr. Frederick Wager has agreed to become the regular board member. Mr. Dickman has been a regular board member since 2006 and would like to continue on. Mr. Wager has agreed to become the board member. My recommendation is to approve these.
Motion to approve items I-1 and I-2.
Thank you.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, it's unanimously so ordered. So they took both of them, John.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is our city engineer request for an extension of the 2018 concrete replacement program. Mr. Hogan.
Thank you. Last year, City Council granted an extension to the 2017 concrete program with our contractor Dominic Gaglio Construction Company through the 2018 season, and there was no increase in the unit costs for this past year. Obviously, we're very pleased with the quality of work they've performed over the years. Their response, timeliness, especially in the event of an emergency on water main break repairs. We have a letter from the company requesting another extension, and I concur that we would be best served by extending this contract with no change in unit costs. So this would mean the last time we had an increase was in 2016, and he's held those costs through 17, 18, and potentially 2019.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, it's unanimously so ordered. Thank you, Mr. Hogan.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is late communications. Madam Clerk, do we have any late communications?
No, we do not.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is disbursements and statements, and also the reports. I'm deferring to our Mayor Pro-Tem, Mr. LeFevre, please.
Thank you, Mayor Stack. I make a motion that we authorize disbursements of $1,691,786.78.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, it's unanimously so ordered.
My next motion would be to authorize ACH transactions and dated January 2019 in the amount of $5,826,794.79.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, it's unanimously so ordered.
Next motion be receive and place on file the financial summary dated January 31st, 2019. The schedule of investments and cash on hand also dated January 31st, 2019. The City Commission minutes dated January 7th, 2019. The Historical Commission minutes dated January 14th, 2019. And the Fire and Police Pension Board minutes dated November 21st, 2018. And also the Police and Fire Department monthly report for January 2019.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Councilman Howey.
Just a quick question. How come we have not received the Parks and Rec, the Recreation Commission meeting minutes?
I can't tell you. We got it caught up, and then I'm not sure if she's, I don't know, what's happened with the meeting, so I'll have to check and see when the last one was.
Thank you.
So if Mr. Beaker can check that out for us, I'd appreciate it. Thanks. Okay. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, it's unanimously so ordered.
And my last motion would be to hold a closed session immediately following the regular council meeting for the purpose of discussing litigation.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Benedetti?
Yes.
Howey?
Yes.
LeFevre?
Yes.
Peruggi?
Yes.
Rozeppa?
Yes.
Stack?
Yes.
Baun-Crooks?
Yes.
Motion carried, Mayor Stack.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is other council business, and first I'm going to have Scott speak and give us an update on Riverside, please. Our city administrator.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As most of you are aware, the city was served with a lawsuit from Naba Management and Zara Nasir seeking to set aside the city's demolition order and seeking a preliminary and permanent injunction against any actions by the city. City of Trenton responded to that complaint and also filed a counterclaim against Naba Management and Zara Nasir. There was an appearance in the Third Judicial Circuit Court on February 6th in front of the Honorable Judge Edward Ewell, Jr. There were discussions in the judge's chambers between our attorney, Alan Ackerman, and Dr. Nasir's attorneys. The case is moving through the process. At this time, we have not been given a trial date, but we are moving towards that. We do, however, remain interested in resolving this matter, and to that end, we're continuing negotiations with his attorneys, but we also remain committed to a resolution that provides for a safe and a viable use of that property. Due to the fact that it's involved in litigation right now, I'm limited beyond what I can add beyond that, but wanted to at least provide an update that we are in front of a judge at this point.
Very good. Anything else? Do you have anything else to report? Okay.
I do not.
Okay, tonight's council comments, I'm going to start with Councilman Benedetti, please.
I have nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Okay, Councilman LeFevre?
Nothing tonight also.
Councilman Peruggi?
Can we get a doctor? Is Bill all right?
No,
I have nothing to add, Madam Mayor.
Councilman Howey?
Just a quick one. I'm just wondering if the city administrator could perhaps just give us a quick update what's going on with the McLeod Steels or something that you can share with the council and with the residents at home.
In what regard?
Just how things are progressing, and there hasn't been anything in the newspaper, so I guess no news is good news when it goes to that.
I would agree, and certainly hope that's the case. As we understand it, we did have a joint meeting with the EPA and the Department of Environmental Quality regarding the regulatory monitoring and the cleanup and remediation demolition process. We have been assured by both the EPA and the DEQ, if there's ever a matter that's of public safety or public concern, that the city will be promptly notified. Thankfully, one of the issues that we were concerned about is if there were to be another federal shutdown, that has been averted, it seems, but they do, the EPA did relay that they absolutely wanted work to continue, even if that were to be the case, that there is not, they simply don't have the manpower, either at the state or the federal level, for continuous 24-hour monitoring of every project going on throughout the country or the state. But hopefully, we're moving forward with a safe and meaningful demolition and cleanup and remediation, hopefully moving forward with the redevelopment of the site thereafter.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Councilmember Zappa?
My 2 items have been covered, so I have nothing tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Councilwoman Baun-Crooks?
Just one thing, and to give the Dingle family, especially Debbie Dingle and Chris and Cindy and all the Dingle family, our deepest sympathy and condolences from the city of Trenton. A lot of us attended the funeral, and it was a great honor to be invited and to be a part of it. But John Dingle was an icon in this area, and we sure will miss him. We were all personal friends, and we appreciated all the work that he did for this state and for our city and for the country. So my deepest condolences to the Dingle family. That's it. Thank
Okay.
you.
What I have tonight is that we're going to be starting to take contributions for this year's fireworks. As everyone well know, it's well known that we do not have this budgeted, so it is based on donations, and we'll be accepting those at the treasurer's office. They haven't been told that yet, but they will be, if they haven't heard already. And so we'll be starting to take contributions for fireworks. The Rotary has got Shamrockin' on the River. It's a St. Patty's Day party, but it's on March 9th instead of the 17th. $55 per person, 6 to 11, Smuggler's Run in Wyandotte. If you're interested, Rosangela has tickets, and our number's 231-4107, or you can send your check to the Trenton Rotary Club at P.O. Box 161, Trenton, Michigan 48183. So those are a couple of the things that we have so far coming up. Also, we have a family fun fair that will be on March 2nd. That'll be running from 11 to 3. That will be free to all kids and their families. And all the schools are invited, and preschools and in the city of Trenton. So we'll be looking forward to that, and that'll be at Westfield Center, and it's all free. Food, entertainment, and projects for the kids to do. So we'll be having that day. Madam Clerk, do you have anything?
I'd like to just mention our next regular council meeting will be on Monday, March 4th at 7 p.m.
Okay. Our city assessor, do you have anything this evening? Mr. Dahlquist?
I just want to remind the personal property statements and small business tax exemption forms are due tomorrow, Wednesday, February 20th. Assessment notices have gone out to the printer this past Thursday, March 14th. They should be out before the end. They will be out before the end of the month. And the March Board of Review dates are as follows. Day sessions are March 12th, 14th, 15th from 9 to noon, and then from 1 to 4. Evening sessions are March 13th and 19th from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. All meetings are here at City Hall in the Commissions Room. Thank you.
Thank you. Our city treasurer, Mr. McCauley, have anything?
Nothing tonight. Thank
Any department heads have anything they'd like to report? If not, I'll go to the general public, and anyone wishing to speak to the council, please state your name and address for the record. Please direct all of your questions through me, and ask that you keep your comments to 5 minutes, please.
Or less. Jack
There you go.
Eggleston, 2231 Westfield. Regarding the McCall Steel site, we all want it to be safe, but I'm wondering what kind of data and numbers that you're receiving on that for pollution and dangerous chemicals that could be emitted. And is there anything in place for off-site monitoring for any dust that might be, being sent into the community from that site? And I would ask that the ordinances be reviewed to make sure that we have ordinances that can help to address concerns. We've not had a cleanup that I'm aware of in the city of Trenton to this magnitude, and would suggest that maybe it would be a good idea to take a look at that.
Sure. Just so you know, at this point in time, the EPA and the MDEQ are overseeing that project that, and they're trying to keep us informed. We do not directly get the data. The data is going right to them, and they're the ones that are overseeing that to make sure that everything is in proper order and that they're following. We are to be they're going to be doing checks with us to update us with what's going on there. I would think that I don't know exactly if it's going to be every couple weeks or if it's going to be on a monthly basis, but we'll have to nail that down with them. And I'm trying to think of what was your other question you asked me?
Regarding an ordinance that might, empower the city to be able to address any violations
Yeah, I'll have
and
to
that
look
might
at that because
occur.
I don't know what ordinance it would be in regards to that offhand, but, unless Mr. Long knows anything of ordinances in regards to pollution or anything that could occur during a demolition.
Not by way of a local ordinance on it, because the jurisdiction in this case remains with the federal government, EPA. They do have standards for emissions from the site that we anticipate they will hold the company to.
Okay. And the thing that I would ask is that you ask for the data rather than just the reassurances that everything is okay. And that they should be able to supply you with the reports that you can respond to us, when we have these kind of questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to say or bring up things to the council here?
Hi, Wendy Pate, 2036 Church Place. I was going to bring up the Riverside property to see if there was any developments. So thank you for that report today, Mr. Church. And maybe you could, depending on how much you can tell us, what are potential outcomes? For example, would the judge order, in best case scenario, in my point of view, would the judge order that the building be torn down? Would the judge order that the building be cleaned up? Would the judge not do anything and put it back in the hands of the city to mitigate? Do we know some potential outcomes of the court case if it is going to court and not going to be settled on the side?
Scott, you want to answer that? I'm going to say all of the above.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
From my standpoint, I'm hopeful that whether it's settled or it goes into the city's favor, that it's the same outcome. I don't think the city's willing to settle. It's something that's short of the satisfaction of what we want for our community and our residents. As far as the outcomes, the potential for the judge, I'm not an attorney. From the filings or the complaints, again, the plaintiff is seeking a preliminary and permanent injunction prohibiting the city from ordering or following through on the demolition order for. So that is the one outcome. If the city prevails in its defense of that claim, the demolition order would stand.
And of course, he could appeal it, I would think, in the appeal process.
That would be my expectation.
Be the timeline that could drag it out a little more.
I think, again, as far as a controlled outcome, still the nature of a settlement that makes sense for both sides. Our position that the city has been laying out, we want, number one, something that is safe, that it's not a hazard or a blight or an attractive nuisance for the community as a whole. We want a viable use of that property. That if it were to be abandoned, if it's safe and he's paying taxes, that's, I guess, I want to say worst case scenario. That's not a positive contribution to the community as a whole. However, putting that property back into use, whether it's the existing buildings are cleaned up, made safe, and repurposed, but we want movement. Clearly, there hasn't been any for far too long.
Okay, so currently there is a tree that is half fallen over. There's some different things going on, but because it's in court, does that mean we can't ask that to be cleaned up? Or I think they have a dumpster on the side that's been sitting there for several months that I didn't think was allowed to be on the property if it wasn't being used. So are we tied up where we can't do some improvements where, I think at one point there was a an amount of money that was set aside that the city could take on if they needed to perhaps cut the grass or maybe handle some of this tree cutting or things like that. Are we tied up where we can't do those sort of things because of the court case, or can we still have that tree trimmed, have the dumpster removed, things like that are currently?
Any deficiencies or code matters, the city is still pursuing for compliance. I can assure you of that. Whether they're able to be enforced because of that's another issue. The city is still proceeding with code enforcement issues.
I didn't see a tree, because I go down there quite a bit.
Yeah, it's right in the front. About half of the tree has been fallen for several months. Oh, no, it's been for months.
I didn't see that, okay.
There's several things that have been there for several months.
Is it on our city, our side, though?
I would think it was on their property.
Inside the sidewalk,
Yeah.
yes.
And then I guess the other thing was, they've been clearing the snow. Are they then still going to be liable for doing the grass cutting as we move into spring?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Because if they're not doing other things, I want to make sure that that is still
I've called him
something they have to do.
Member knows, because I've called him on a Sunday to tell him to get his people out there when I rode by there, so.
Okay. And then the last thing was, with the windows being open and the one picture I had sent to all of you about the ice dam. Yeah. Wondering if we do have access to an air quality monitoring system for that property. There's water now that's been in there, potential mold. I know there was mold in there before. It could have gotten worse since that episode back in October. It hasn't been, worked on or anything. So is there anything that the city can do with any kinds of monies that could put up some kind, or just have somebody go in and test the air in the area once, or if we could have something installed around there to monitor it as the winds come through the building, the windows are open, that sort of thing, if we could look into that?
I'm not sure what we can do with the.
That is something that I would leave to the attorneys handling the case. We're up against a position that they are presenting that the facility is safe.
Okay.
It is secure. There are no deficiencies. It is all up to code. So that's what's being argued about in court.
Okay, great. All right, thank you very much.
The one thing, just so you know, the one thing is that we have a separate attorney for this, so it's not Mr. Long, even though he's trying to keep up with everything.
Right.
So I can't answer for our attorney right now to, be able to give you all the information at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Who is our attorney for that?
Alan Ackerman.
How long has he been our attorney? All along? Has he?
As it pertains to the demolition.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak to the council? If not, I'll ask for an adjournment, please. Adjourned at 7:23. Thank you.